Hi, I'm Michael Wargo, team pilot with Precision Aerobatics, and today I'm going to do a video that a lot of you guys really kind of wanted me to do, and that is, there's a lot of choices with Precision Aerobatics, and each of them are a little different, and each of them have a bit different purpose. And today I'm going to kind of go over it. Obviously, there's multiple models of the Addiction. That's the Addiction XL back there. Of course, this is a Katana 52. There's also a Katana 60. That's the XR61, and there's also an XR52. Same thing with the Ultimate. There's also a smaller one. But I'm going to just kind of give you an idea of what I use these for, why I like them, and when I go to the field, why I bring which plane I'm going to bring. Okay, this is the electric shock, and for me, you know, it's a very small, very capable 3D aircraft. Of course, you can use it in big fields and wherever you go. But for me, I use this if I'm camping or something, I need to fly it in a small space, or I just want to fly it in my backyard. Obviously, you've seen me on video flying it in my house. So it's a very capable 3D aircraft, great 3D aircraft to learn on because of the very big wing, very buoyant. But that's what I use this for myself. It's kind of like the Addiction, only a little smaller, and you can fly it in a much smaller space. And and even if you have a small yard or medium-sized yard, you can fly this all day. I hand launch it. It's available with landing gear, but 90% of the time that I fly it, I would be flying it in a kind of a small space. So anyway, that's the electric shock. And by the way, it's very windy right now. A couple of things I really like about this shock is the way it does tumble. You see the authority in the surfaces. Definitely not like a foamy. Watch this. Watch it wrap up. This is something that, you know, just foamies don't do well because they really don't have that much mass or momentum. So, you know, this quick tumbling, things of that nature, I think it looks fantastic, and I think it's a lot of fun to do that stuff. It'll do other things that the foamies generally don't like to do, especially the profile ones, which are, you know, these quick maneuvers. The ailerons are obviously really fast. You know, of course, what this thing is best at is this stuff, you know, where the plane loves to hover. It loves to do the low, slow stuff. It's very windy here today, but even in the wind, you see this thing is nice and stable. Flying into the wind here, you could see it'll fly very, very slow. This plane, very strong authority on all the surfaces, and loves to harrier and it loves to hover. It's not that it can't fly fast and straight, because it can. If you have a desire to just kind of rip around, you know, look how fast this thing will fly and how fast the surfaces are. You know, if you're flying in a small space, this plane really can do it all. I know it sounds, you can do a bit more radical maneuvers with it. You can see how quick it tumbles and things like that. The moment is very short on this, shorter than the Addiction. But again, what this thing specializes in, of course, is hovering and harriering and things like that. And again, no gear, so landing is easy as just flopping it down. Okay, obviously this is the Addiction XL. The Addiction series, they're just the most quintessentially perfect 3D vehicle for someone who's learning 3D, who really wants to just do the cool 3D maneuvers like hovering and rolling harriers and all that low, slow stuff. It would be impossible for me to say as many good things about this aircraft that I have inside me. It's such a great airplane. The XL, you know, it flies a little slower, a little more buoyant, a little bigger. I love the way this thing flies. The regular Addiction and the Addiction X really has the same capabilities. It's just maybe a little quicker, you know, just because it's smaller. This one flies on 6 cells, the other one on 3 cells. the Exxon 3 cells, and the same for the regular Addiction. But this is a plane I'm seldom without. An Addiction, I literally almost can't remember a time where I've come to the field without one of the Addictions with me. Where else? It's very difficult to explain until you've had your hands on it, but it just does things no other plane can do. And it's really, really remarkable. It just flies so straight, turns exactly on a dime, exactly where you put it and stays there. Again, it's something very, very special. Okay, we're going to do the Addiction XL this time. And again, I'm going to show you what I love about it. But again, you should be able to see just how different it is. Again, one of the biggest reasons I like this, and I fly this a lot in demos, just because it presents so nice in the sky. It's so big. And again, tight corners, everything it does, it just seems to just love to stay straight. It loves to stay up. It loves to stay buoyant. Again, this is an aircraft that is very purpose designed for 3D and flying slow. And again, it flies such straight lines, you know, and if you make abrupt turns or you get on knife edge or anything you do seems to just be a little easier, a little slower. And again, the plane wants to stay aloft a lot easier, and flying super low like that becomes a little easier when you're so confident that the plane itself will stay where you put it. Just like this. I mean, making a slow circle like this is how I was able to land them in a flat spin, is because it's just going so slow. Okay, here's the reason to have one of these. Watch every line. Straight up. Straight stall turn. Nice controlled descent. Locked in. At this point, it's just beautifully coming to me, very controllable, and stays exactly where I put it. I mean, that's really why this plane is so great. This is the XR61. Now, the XR61, you know, I love for a variety of reasons. It's a much more traditional aircraft, you know, in regards to straight line maneuvers, more high energy stuff, you know, tumbling, all this kind of stuff it does really well. But the reason I like this, and I say it's a little different than like the Katana or something like that, is because it has a really sizable wing area. And it kind of has some of the nice floaty characteristics as the Addiction series. Believe it or not, it just looks like a real plane. Now, you know, I've always really been a big fan of how the XR61 looks. But for some reason with the low, slow stuff, it just performs, you know, it's really not that big a jump from the Addiction. It harriers like crazy. You know, it's very easy to hover. Rolling harriers are very consistent, really good, and I just love the airplane. But it's, again, it's a different flying experience than this is. Plus, again, it looks a lot more like a traditional aircraft, and you know, when you're doing fast point rolls and things like that, it kind of looks different and feels a little different. But I love the aircraft. Okay, we're gonna fly the XR61. You know, the one thing I did want to say in this video is that you could see the big variety of planes I like to fly. You know, I fly pattern, I fly jets, I fly giant scale, with the exception of sailplanes. You know, and I love 3D helicopters too. Variety, I think, really helps your career. You know, if you just keep flying one type of airplane, it's a bit harder to expand and grow. One disadvantage is a lot of times I'm flying so many different types of aircraft in one day, I don't really have a chance to really get perfect feel for each one as I'm flying them. And I guess that's the disadvantage of the way I seem to fly. But I really enjoy flying different types of airplanes, just because they do different things. And again, one of the nice features of it is how nice and straight this thing tends to fly. You know, I really love the way it handles the iMac maneuvers. But like I said, you know, it's probably out of all of them, it's the closest to the Addiction in its slow flight performance. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. And there's even a lot of wind. If you look at the nose of this aircraft, man, it's not moving. You know, of course you have to learn how to do it, but it's really helpful when the plane lets you do it. That plane is very fast.
3 minutes.
I love the artistic part of 3D. You know, to where the plane is slow and you're really controlling it and really guiding it. This plane has all the rudder authority you need. It has all of the buoyancy that you need. In a second, I'll take it up and tumble it. But even with a lot of wind, look how dead stable this thing is.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
You can see the wind blowing it away. But anyway, I absolutely love this plane. We'll tumble it a little bit just so you can kind of see what that looks like. Knife edge spins and everything like that. Just really, really controllable. Really, I guess this little segment says it all. I mean, this is just nice, low, slow hovering stuff, and then straight up, little pop top type of thing, and then complete control coming back down. You can see how nice and controlled that descent is. And then back into a nice, low, slow, you know, maneuver like this rolling Harrier again. I think that's why, from an all-around performance standpoint, this XR61 is really formidable. It really does this stuff so well. But just like all of the PA planes, you know, it's so light, so responsive. You know, and you can do things like that with complete confidence because it doesn't have so much mass that it, you know, won't stop on a dime like that.
Timer expired.
All right, now we're going to talk about the Katana 52. It suits my flying style the most because I like a variety of everything. So, again, extremely nimble, you know, and athletic, fast, all that type of stuff. I think the plane is just awesome. You won't see any visual difference or visible difference in how it does the low, slow stuff and everything like that. It feels slightly different, but again, it just has no deficiency, so it's pretty hard for me to say it doesn't do the low, slow stuff as well as the others, because it does. But it also is, again, very athletic, and I think it's really good looking. Like I said, all of the low, slow stuff that the Addiction is famous for, and I said that, you know, this is on the other end of the spectrum with it being so agile and fast and athletic and things. But if you look, it's certainly not lacking at all in the ability to keep things nice and low and slow, even though it is, you know, a fast athletic aircraft. I mean, I'm obviously having no trouble keeping it nice and stable, just like an Addiction. But like I said, it does feel a bit different. Okay, except maybe the AMR, it does do stuff like this, you know, a bit better than, you know, the Addiction and even the XR61. But again, the plane was kind of designed a bit more around XA and, you know, more high energy maneuvers. Well, this is a nice, long, slow rolling circle, and the plane does it beautifully. And again, it just seems to do everything well. I keep saying that, but it's very true. I believe it's the most versatile, and I really love the Katana series. Honestly, you can see how nice the high energy stuff is, and you know, these violent tumbles, or even like this, a really nice flat spin. You can see how nicely it holds it. The plane is really something else. I think this really makes a case for having multiple, you know, planes in your arsenal. there's a lot of reasons why I love this aircraft. Okay. Although, you know, most of the time, you know, this aircraft might be a little better at straight line flying and things like that. It's very competent that way, but it's just a little bit different. It's a different flying experience. Again, it's really buoyant, like the AMR, I mean, like the Addiction. It's very easy to hover, all this kind of stuff. But one of the things I like the most about it, and I tend to keep this with me a lot too, because I mean, it really presents amazingly well in the air. I mean, it's very rare that I go out and pull this thing out to the runway and start to fly it. And when I'm done, people go, God, that looks good in the air. I mean, it really does. It's a great aircraft. And the thing is, it wants for nothing. I've always disliked biplanes because they just don't fly well. And the ones out there that you see that seem to be flying well, they have gyros. And I've never even tried a gyro in this. It just doesn't need it. It's super, super stable through everything. And I'm going to fly each of them so you'll get a little idea of what the difference is. One other thing is, because this has a short moment, the moment is basically this distance. It's a shorter fuselage. It loves to tumble. So you're going to see that it does like to tumble, and it tumbles really hard, really fast. But like I said, it's undoubtedly one of my favorite planes just because of the way it looks and feels. I have to tell you that there is no doubt that this is my favorite part. How absolutely athletic and aerobatic this plane is, but look at it descend in this Harrier roll, and look at the nose, how axially it's rolling even while it's falling. That is very special, and this plane is amazing to be able to do it this nice and clean. If you notice, the nose is just at the same angle, and again, that's really difficult without a fantastic airframe. And I couldn't resist showing this footage from a previous flight. Just how nice it looks and how really well it presents in the air. And again, this plane, as it's harriering and things like that, you can see how slow it will fly. The wing loading is so good. And again, how nice it hovers. This is yet another thing that is so special about this airplane. Coming out of this maneuver this clean is amazing. Biplanes have provided me with a lot of really scary moments trying to come out of blenders and things like that. And just look at this thing. And then there's tumbling. Again, just perfect. And that kind of completes the aerobatic arsenal. Well, this is my take on the planes, and I hope it helps you choose what's best for you.